going to present for about 20 minutes, 25 minutes to you now, and then we'll do any Q&A with you afterwards. Again, similar to last week, if you have any questions regarding this, we will try and get it recorded and uploaded to our YouTube channel. And also any questions that you want to bang across to me, get them across to me and I can forward on to the guys. But without further ado, I'll hand you over to Chris so we can crack on.
Yeah, perfect. Obviously, evening, guys. Obviously, appreciate that. I suppose you're all muted for now. At the end, like I said, if you want to ask some questions, feel free to unmute yourself. But during the presentation, if you want to just keep yourself muted, then obviously we can get through it, and then we can obviously answer some questions at the end. So, yeah, just going to sort of jump into it. So I know I obviously spoke to you guys sort of this time last week, I believe it was, when you was obviously doing a team meeting. I just sort of give you a brief introduction of what we do and what I'd be talking to you about. So obviously a Future Elite Sports, we've sort of got 3 divisions. Should be able to change. There you go. Yeah, we've got 3 divisions. Today, I'm predominantly going to be talking to you about now sort of US scholarships. That's pretty much what today's presentation is about. But this isn't something I'm going to talk about. We also have 2 other divisions. We've got Higher Education UK Academy, which is based in Northampton. So if some of you guys maybe want to continue to play full-time football and get a university degree, that's something that we've set up ourselves. And we've got our own academy for that. But maybe don't want to leave England, and you can, like I said, go to Northampton, play full-time football and get a degree there. So if that's something you might be interested in, obviously we can speak about that a little bit later on. And we also offer sort of gap years, sort of opportunities in New Zealand, Australia, for some of you that might want to go to university, but maybe want to take a gap year, play a little bit as well. We can help you go over there and do that. But I'm not really going to jump into that too much today. I mean, we've been partnered with Welsh colleges, English colleges, helped run the ECFA national team, partnered AOC Sport for the past sort of 6-7 years. Very well recommended. We dip in and out of the Tactic League teams as well. We're up and down many academies. So like I said, we work with loads of players, loads of colleges, loads of schools and academies, and we've sort of sent thousands of players out in sort of the past 9 years that have been up and running. Obviously, a lot of you probably know Ollie Grenane. Ollie Grenane, yeah, I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Always a tough one, but yeah, he's obviously on board with us and he's looking to go out next year. So obviously, you guys can ask him some questions about our events and what we do as well. It's always nice to speak to someone you know. So just going to sort of crack into it. Like I said, today's more about the US. So obviously, understand that I suppose this time in your life, you guys are sort of going through a phase where you sort of got to start making some big decisions. It's been pretty easy up until now. You all love your football. You're all doing obviously your college work, which is great. But when you get to sort of 18, you've either got to maybe look at getting a full-time job and maybe leaving education or continuing your education. But it's always tough to balance the football with the education, especially in England. It's not something that is too advertised that you can do here. So some of you, and I completely understand this, might be looking at this as a possible option. It might be just to leave education completely. And sorry, there's a few people just coming in to the room. There you go. Yeah, sorry, it might just be just to leave education completely and just try and work your way up the non-league ladder. Now, some people have done this. Obviously, you can see there Chris Smalling, he's been successful. Jamie Vardy, Charlie Austin, Michael Antonio, there's 4 just off the top of my head. But you've then got to sort of compare that to the number of people that probably attempt to do this compared to those that are successful. The number's not very, very high. The one thing you will find out straight away is that you're going to be playing a lot less if you do go down this pathway, just because you are going to need to get a full-time job and you are going to need to sort of have to earn money. So your full-time job will probably be the priority, and then the football will be a bit of a backup to that. And that's just typically how it is at non-league football, all the way up to sort of the National League levels anyway. On top of that, you'll find that the coaching level is also going to drop. The coaches at that level will have a full-time job as well, sort of 95% of the time. So that'll be their priority. And then the football, again, will be a bit of a substitute to that. So unlike where you are now, where you get full-time coaching, your development's continuing between sort of the ages of 16 to 18, which is fantastic. At that level, you've got to ask yourself, if we're training once or twice a week and we're preparing for the game on a Saturday, is the coach going to put in maybe an 18-year-old straight out of an academy or college environment over maybe a 27, 28, 29-year-old who's experienced, been around the block, and that they can trust? The answer to that is probably no. And that's why you'll find that the game is pretty physical and pretty direct. And that's just, again, down to the fact that coaches need to win games. Otherwise, they might lose their job. And obviously not having the time to...
Sorry, Chris, can I just touch on that there? We're not full-time. So just to give you a heads up on that, we just train twice a week and we do 4 hours a week and played anywhere Saturday or Monday. So just to give you a heads up.
Okay, no worries. Yeah. So obviously anyway, at this level, again, it's tough. Your development's not really going to continue. And you're not going to be in that environment where you are going to train every day. You're going to become a better player. And typically what you'll find is players that are sort of 18 and look to go down this pathway after a year or so, when they're not playing at the level they thought they should be or getting regular playing time, will end up dropping down divisions. I use a good example of this that I played up two of my really good friends. One was at Charlton, one was at Southend, both from the ages of like 9 and 10. Grew up through the academy. At 16, both got offered scholars till they're 18. And then at 18, both got released. And instead of going over to America, where they had some fantastic opportunities given to them, they decided to go down this pathway. And I come back for my second Christmas, and both of them have completely stopped playing. So it's a shame to see people put so much time and effort growing up, and obviously the love for the game, you've got it in abundance at the moment, and then go down this route and sort of fall out of love with the game, and I suppose just quit playing completely and become a fan. So I don't want to say that it can't happen and you can't work your way up the non-league ladder and get to the professional game, but you've also got to be very realistic at this time of your life and not sort of chase a dream that is pretty tough to fulfill. So that sort of might be, again, your first option, and some of you might be looking into that. Another option could be UK university. Now, I'm not here to dig UK university. Obviously, if you're looking at this and you want to go for the academic side of things, and fantastic, all the best to you. But I'm strictly talking about a footballing standpoint. So what you'll find at UK university is, if you are looking to maybe take your game to that next level and continue to develop, UK university probably isn't the environment for that. And that's down to a few reasons. So first of all, at sort of 95% of universities, apart from your Loughboroughs, your Durhams, your Cardiff Mets, maybe a couple more, training and games will pretty much be student-led. So you might be training once or twice a week for an hour a night. And again, it might be the first team captain that takes a bit of 5-a-side or 7-a-side. And again, straight after that, you might be straight down the pub. It's very social. Everyone's pretty much there for the academics first, and the football might be, a bit of a social part to that. On top of that, you'll be sharing your facilities. So like I said, say for example, you're training on a Wednesday night, and you've got an hour slot and you're playing a bit of 5-a-side, and it's 8 till 9. At 9 o'clock, you're going to probably have another team pushing to get you off. It could be another team from the university. Typically a lot of universities will open up their facilities to the public as well. So it might be another team, but you're not going to have that time and that environment to be able to develop your game and put the training hours in order to get better. Sort of the biggest thing for me and the biggest gamble about UK university sport is that there is no recruitment. So what I mean by that is the university will not go out their way to handpick players to come and play for their university. Like I said, everyone's going there predominantly for academics, and then the football is going to be a bit of a backup to that. So what you'll find is, on the first week of sort of Freshers Week, you'll go put your name down for the trials, your trial for the team, and then you get put in a team from sort of first team down to 7th or 8th team. There's a lot of teams there. And it's not, like I said, it's not taken too seriously, but it's also the fact that you're going to have no idea what standard of players are going to be coming in and playing for that university either. So it can be a bit of a risk that way. And then again, the end goal for you guys at the moment, I suppose, being sort of 16, 17, 18, is always going to be, where's the football progression? I want to make it as a professional footballer. At UK university, there isn't really any football progression into any professional league, or even into really a non-league. So you'll sort of just find yourself at the same situation football-wise as you are at the age of 18, leaving sort of college. You might be a few years older, but you're not really going to have any contacts or any links maybe into the non-league game. So again, something just to think about there, just from a sporting perspective. I'm now going to sort of give you guys another option. And this might not be something where you're all interested, but to a few of you, it might be something where, it really could be another option for you and something that's very realistic. So compared to that, obviously you've then got US University, and I'm not sure how many of you sort of know about this or have heard about it. I'm sure obviously a few of you have heard about it, but the detail that's gone into it, I'm not sure, how sort of well informed you are. So what you will find at US University is that there is a lot of money out there in terms of college level sports. So the first thing you'll find at every university is that you have a head coach, you'll have 2 or 3 assistant coaches, you'll have a strength conditioning coach, you'll have an athletic trainer, you might have a nutritionist, you might have a psychologist. You're going to have so many different staff there that, again, your development is going to go through the roof, and they're all going to be full-time. So it'll be their full-time job. On top of that, you will have your own specific facility. So for example, where I was, we used to have a 4G stadium for men's and women's soccer. But say, for example, the women had a game and we wanted to train, we also had a 4G training pitch next to our stadium. And say, for example, we had an away game and we was playing on grass, we also had a grass training pitch next to that pitch. So if we, did want to train for the week building up to the game to go and play on an away game on a grass pitch, then we could. So there was always them facilities there to make sure you could put as much training hours as you could. And again, it's only going to help your development to be able to stay out there longer, do extras, go out there on an off day and do extras. There's no one ever telling you to get off the pitch, which is great. Now, the biggest thing for me about US sport and soccer and sport in general is the recruitment side of things. So out there, what you'll find is, like I said, it's the head coach's full-time job. And for him, he's going to have to bring in the best players every year to make sure that his team is going to keep winning games. If the team starts getting a decline in results, he stops winning things, or the team's getting worse, he's probably going to lose his job. So he'll go around the world to companies like us and other companies around the world and try and handpick the best players, like I said, that are going to fit his philosophy. And he'll offer them scholarships in order to come and play for the team. So I played with players when I was out there from Australia all the way to sort of South America, across Europe, people from all over the place. And I'd say, obviously, especially from the ages of sort of 18 to 21, 22, the more different styles of play you can play with different players, it's only going to help your game. And you're also going to build contacts with those people. So after you've graduated, you may have opportunities to go and play in other countries and things like that, which is always great. And again, the end goal would always be, can you turn professional out there? And, the answer to that is yes. There's more opportunities than ever out in the US now to go into the professional game. Obviously, you've got the MLS, which I'm sure you've all heard of. But that's a very, very good level, and you've got to be outstanding at college soccer level to go and play in the MLS and get drafted. But you've also got out there the USL, which is the second division, still a very, very high level of football. And they've been around for sort of, over 10, 15 years now. They're well established. But in the last 2 years, there's actually been 2 new pro leagues that have been put into the US model. So you've now got the USL 1 and you've got the NASL. So you've now got 4 professional leagues. And like I said, more opportunities than ever to go out there, impress, and then kick on as a professional. I played with some players that are in the MLS. I played with players that are in the USL. And I've also got mates now who are playing in the third divisions over there. And one good thing about the US is that there are semi-professional leagues in the summers as well. And that's really how you get yourself in the shop window. So say, for example, you have a very good season with a college team. You'll find a lot of semi-pro clubs in the PDL will then ask you to come and play for their club during the summer when you're off season. It's obviously a great way to stay fit, but if you do well in the PDL, again, you then put yourself in the shop window to those professional clubs for once you've graduated. So short-term goals, when you go out there, if your goal is to be professional, your short-term goal should be to try and play in the PDL at least 3-4 times when you're out there. And that's sort of something that goes under the radar a little bit, but great opportunity. So just going to sort of give you 2 examples of players I suppose have gone out there and really excelled. Both took different paths, both done just as well. The first one, Jack Harrison. I'm sure you've all sort of heard of him, especially this year. Jack Harrison was at Man United till he was 15, 16. Got released and then he went out to America on a scholarship at the age of 18. Went to Wake Forest University, studied for 4 years, did really well. Got drafted then to New York City FC. Obviously, they're affiliated with the Etihad Group, or part of the Etihad Group, obviously with Man City. So then he signed for Man City and got loaned out to Middlesbrough in his first season back. Did well in the Championship, scored a few goals. Second season, obviously Bielsa's come in and he signed him on loan. He's then got promoted in his second season with Leeds. And from there, obviously playing Premier League football now, scoring goals. So he's a player who's gone from US college soccer to the best league in world football. So I suppose he's now the poster boy for American college sports. Another player who's gone out there and took a slight different route and a different pathway is Dom Dwyer. Now, Dom Dwyer was at Norwich till he was 16, got released, then he went to Kingston College, which is a normal sort of AOC sport college. Good level of football though. And he went to somewhere called Tyler Community College, which is a 2-year school out in America, which is in Texas. Did really well. Then after 2 years, moved on to University of South Florida, which is obviously a very, very good school as well. Did 2 years there, got his bachelor's degree, but also got drafted to Sporting Kansas City. And then after a year at Sporting Kansas City, then got transferred to Orlando City, where he's still playing now. Difference between the two, though, is that Dom Dwyer is actually out there. He's married, he's had kids, and he's actually managed to change his nationality. So he's actually had national team caps for the US as well. So if someone has gone out there at the age of 18, obviously done unbelievably well, got drafted, but managed to obviously change his nationality, and he's living a happy life in Florida, where I suppose there's worse places to live. So they're 2 guys, like I said, have really excelled. And I'll touch on a couple more in a little bit of who we've sent out and I suppose what they're doing as well. Now just going to, I suppose, go on why the USA and what a scholarship is and things like that, because the word scholarship does get thrown around quite a lot. I'm not sure all the time people know what it exactly means, but to put it quite simply, in this sense, a scholarship will be if a coach really likes you and thinks you're going to be a great addition to his squad, he'll say to you, look, if you come and play for our team full time, we'll help fund your university degree. So over here, where you get a student loan, you might be paying it back over sort of, 10, 20, 30 years, depending on what job you get. Over there, if you get a good scholarship, you're looking at really not having to pay anything at all. And that's just down to you playing full-time football. Obviously, at the end of that, you then get your degree as well, which is a bit of a win-win. There are two options over there as well. Four-year university is the one that sort of stands out to most people, but junior college also goes sort of under the radar, and I'll get onto those two in a minute. But there's a bit more flexibility because you can go down a 2-year route and a 4-year route. But like I said, I'll touch on that in the next couple of slides. Either way, though, you are going to come away with an internationally recognised degree, and you're going to be training and competing every day at the top level. Obviously, you're only going to be 22 when you're sort of 22, 23 when you're finished there. So you're still not going to be in your peak, but you're going to be a much better player coming back than you did when you went out there. Like I said, there's two options over there. The first one, like I said, does go under the radar a little bit, and it's called junior college. Now, the only difference between junior college and a 4-year university is the fact that obviously, first of all, it's 2 years long, and you'll be studying something called an associate's degree. But people will go to a junior college over a 4-year university because you don't have to sit an entrance exam. There's no exam required for you to go in. So you will take your GCSEs you've got here, your BTEC in sport, your A-levels, whatever it might be you're studying, and you go straight to a junior college, no problems whatsoever. What you'll find though, is that once you've done 2 years and you've got your associate's degree, you'll typically get a better scholarship offered to you at a 4-year university rather than going in as a first year to a 4-year university. Sorry, is my connection okay?
Yeah, you come back now, mate. You went a little bit there, but yeah, you're good.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so you can obviously finish after the 2 years with your associates, but sort of 99% of people then transfer onto a 4-year school, like I said, where you probably will get a better scholarship. So you've got to look at this as a 4-year journey, but junior college is just an easier way into that university lifestyle, especially from the educational side and the academics point of view. So that's the only real difference, that we'll send someone to a junior college rather than a 4-year university. And I'd say we probably send 50% to junior college and 50% to university, and it's nothing to do with football and ability whatsoever. It's purely the academics. So that's junior college. Second option, like I said, is university. Unlike England, where it's 3 years, over there it's 4 years, which is a bit better because obviously you get 4 years to play. And the only difference about going to a university rather than a junior college is something called the SAT exam. Now that's something that everyone in the world, including Americans, will have to sit. It's a 3.5 hour long exam, which isn't the nicest, and it's based on half maths and half English. Multiple choice, and it's something we give all our clients a lot of preparation for, to make sure I'm not going into it just to pass, but going in and pass pretty comfortably as well. And that's something that we'll have a chat with you about, just to see, looking at your GCSEs and your grades and your academics, and sort of push you in the right direction to say, is it university you want to go for or junior college? But once you sort of pass that exam, you're then in and you're eligible to go to any university in the US. And once you're at university, you can then study anything you like. So just because you're playing for the soccer team doesn't mean you have to do a sports degree. You can study anything. You can do a sports degree if you like. You can study anything from history, maths, English, business, sports, a sports subject. Like I said, absolutely anything, a bit like here in the UK. And again, once you've done them 4 years, you are probably going to have exit routes playing wise. If it's not in England or America, it might even be in other countries. So again, that sort of 4-year university, just to give you a brief insight. Now, just to stop me sort of rambling on just for a minute or so, I'm just going to sort of show you a video just to give you a better insight into facilities and what to sort of expect from a 4-year university over in the US. This is pretty much the standard facility at all universities. So hopefully you can hear the sound as well. If you just give me a thumbs up if you can hear it. Oh.
What we want to do with our facilities is provide the best environment in the country to help them succeed academically, athletically and socially. The whole package in terms of practice fields, game field, weight room, locker room, lounge, meeting room. I think it's probably the best setup for collegiate soccer in the country. I've had friends that are professional coaches from around the world that they come and visit this and they're like, man, this is better than what we have. But with that, I'd say there's a responsibility. When you have these kind of things and you provide them to your players, there's a responsibility that comes with that. And it's to be a great student, to be active in the community. And when it comes time to get on the playing field, you have an obligation to those fans.
So yeah, hopefully that gives you a bit of a better understanding, a visual insight into what the facilities are like. They're pretty amazing. And like I said, there's a lot of money in college sports over there. So that's what you expect pretty much everywhere across the US. Now, just going to touch on a couple of players we've sent out in the past. Like I said, I'm the head of soccer here at Future Elite. But about 7-8 years ago now, I was sort of in your shoes. Wasn't too sure what I was going to do once I finished. I was at sixth form. I wasn't too sure what I was going to do. So I actually went through Future Elite myself, and I was a client. So I've sort of been on both sides of the fence. My story was a little bit that I was playing for Concord Rangers or a National League South setup. I was just playing for the under-18s at the time. Nothing full-time or anything like that. Never been in that environment. Training with the first team a couple of times a week, but could sort of see just from training with them, I was never going to get regular playing time as an 18-year-old the following year. You know, it just wasn't going to happen. I wasn't quite good enough physically. I wasn't quite there. And just something you sort of have to just take on the chin at that age. So sort of started looking at US, speaking to my PE teacher who told me about it. Did a bit of research and come across Future Elite and a few other companies as well. But for what I was looking for and the level of football I was after, Future Elite sort of came up trump. So I ended up actually going straight to a 4-year university. And again, it was all about football for me. Wasn't too interested in a degree or anything like that. And you know, for me, the degree would be a bonus. So never been to America and I wanted to take the best option for football. So ended up at a school in the middle of Nebraska for my first 2 years out there. Like I said, it was a 4-year school, but I was there for 2 years. But the team I went to, even though it was quite a remote place, they were ranked top 10 in the nation at the time. So I was playing with players there that one of my best mates is now playing for Kilmarnock in the Scottish Premier League. One of them is playing for DC United. Like I said, some of them playing in the second divisions over there. Some playing in Germany, Sweden. So the level was unbelievably high. And, you know, it's probably the pinnacle of my footballing career, to be honest. So as you can see, the facilities were unbelievable. 3,000-seat stadium. We had strength conditioning, weight room. We had the coaching staff were unbelievable. I was playing with coached by a coach who's now an assistant at Real Salt Lake in the MLS. So again, a real good coaching. I've become a much better player. We were sponsored by Nike as well. So something you'll find and every university will have is like a team sponsor. If it's Nike, Adidas, Under Armour, typically the 3 common ones. And every August you'll get free Nike gear or Under Armour, Adidas, whatever it might be. You'll get coats, boots, trainers, training kits, tracksuits, anything you can think of, you're going to get it. It's a bit like Christmas in August, we used to call it. Something you should look forward to every year. In my first year, did struggle a little bit to get playing time. Like I said, I was playing with these players that I'd never been at that level before, and it took me by surprise. I was on the bench quite a bit in the off season, then went back and put a lot of work in. Something you'll realise when you go out there is it is hard work. You've got to put a lot of work in if you do want to start playing for these successful teams. So did that, went back second season, got into the starting 11 for pre-season, kept my place. And then my second year, we actually played 25 games, won 25, and won a national championship. So that's probably the highlight of my footballing career. I'm more than happy with that. Not a lot of people can say they've done it. And obviously played with some unbelievable guys that year. Now, from there, what you'll find is typically not all players will stay at the same university for the full 4 years. You know, once that had finished that year, a lot of players are graduating. The team didn't look as strong going into the next couple of years. Sorry, I've just had something come up that this is going to end in 10 minutes.
Is that the Zoom? Might be the...
Yeah.
We can reboot it and I can send it back out, mate, if you need it to keep for a bit longer.
Yeah, no worries, yeah. I'll try and get through it, but if not, we might have to reboot it. But yeah, so basically from there, look to transfer. And what you'll find is if you do well at one school, there'll be a lot of other schools that come in for you and be interested. So after 2 years, I then transferred down to a school in South Carolina. where I got a full scholarship, was captain for 2 years, made nationals both years, was an All-American, played in the PDL for 2 summers because of the connections they had. So real great experience, and obviously got my business, sport and business management degree as well. So something, like I said, I had a great time, wouldn't have changed a thing, and obviously met some great people along the way. Couple of other people we've sent out to different pathways and had different priorities going out. One was someone called Harvey Slade, who went out sort of a couple of years after me. He played for the English colleges national team, and he was at Brock College as well. But for him, it wasn't just going to the best level of football. He also wanted to go to a very academic school as well. So he easily passed the SAT exam, and he ended up going to a school called Wright State University, which is in Ohio. But they're also a top footballing side and made nationals sort of every year. Again, sponsored by Nike, so you used to get all fresh new gear every year. He coached by one of the coaches there, Brian Davis, used to be a pro at Leeds and Stoke. So what you will find is there's a lot of coaches out there now that are ex-pros, especially in England, because they'll find it's easy to go over there with their experience and become a head coach at university. So it's quite good that they can share their knowledge and their experience with you that way. Wright State usually costs sort of $43,000 to go to a year, and he went out there on a full scholarship and didn't have to pay a penny at all, which is obviously great for him. And like I said, they're a top ranked side in the nation. They're always in nationals every year. This year, obviously looking to do exactly the same. And he's in his senior year, so he could have good possibilities to possibly go into the pro game once he's finished out there at whatever level it is. One last player I'll touch on, again, to a different pathway. Dom Doherty wasn't academically too strong, and he obviously admitted that. He went out similar time to me. When he was at Eastern Motley College, which is a good college setup and a good team here in the UK, but never was at academy level or anything like that. And for him, he wanted to go to a good footballing side at junior college level, but also wanted to go live in a lovely place and have a great experience sort of life-wise. So he ended up going to a school called Feather River Community College in California. So again, a lovely place to live and also a very strong side. Did a couple of years there. As you can see, the facilities aren't as big as university, but they're still pretty nice. Did well for 2 years. After that, then got a transfer to a 4-year school, like I said, what most people will do. And he ended up transferring to a school called Lynn University in South Florida. Now, Lynn University, just to put it into perspective, have got into the national final twice in the last 5 years. So it's a very, very strong footballing program. And he's obviously lived in California and Florida, two of the nicer places to live in the US and possibly the world as well. Again, coaches there, unbelievable. He's been coached by two of the top coaches in the US at junior college level and university level. And obviously between the ages of sort of 18 to 22, the more coaches you can play under, the more influence you can have in your game, it's only going to help you as a player. And again, to put it into perspective, it actually costs $55,000 a year to go to Lynn University. And he went there on a full ride after doing well for his first 2 years at junior college. So another player who's gone out there, worked hard, obviously got his degree, played at a top level, but he's actually stayed out there and he's got into his coaching as well. So he's now coaching out there full time. Obviously loved the lifestyle out there and has continued it on. So there's just a few players just to give you a bit of an insight of who we've sent out. Now, just to sort of run through an average day and what to expect. I don't know how full on your days are at the moment when you're playing your football, your college work, that sort of thing. But I can assure you it's a lot more full on over there than what you're probably used to at the moment. So this was sort of my average day as a freshman. So as a first year, used to be up sort of 3-4 days a week at sort of 6 a.m. And that would be for strength conditioning purposes. So because you'll be playing 2 to 3 games a week, usually Saturday, Wednesday, Saturday, and training every other day, apart from some days you might have off, you need to make sure you're looking after your body. So a lot of it is injury prevention, waking up early, getting all that done to make sure you're going to be fit to play as many games in the season as possible. And you're going to be fit than other teams because it does come into play, especially towards the end of the season. Remember, we used to have games sometimes on a Wednesday away. It might be a 6-7 hour drive, get back at 3-4 in the morning, and then we still have to be up at 6 for weight. So it wasn't the nicest thing at the time, but again, in the long run, it does pay off. So that's what we used to do, shower up and then sort of head down to breakfast. There'll be restaurants and sort of cafeterias on campus for you to go and eat, and you'll be eating with a team most of the time. It's quite team orientated, everything you do. Classes for me used to be between 8 and 2. So it doesn't mean I was in class straight from 8 o'clock to 2 p.m. Some days I could have 4 classes, some days I might have had 1, some days I might not have had any at all. And that was down to the fact that I could be flexible in my timetable, see my advisor and say, look, I've got training on these days and games on these days, so I need to make sure my classes are going to be able to be flexible around that. And that's something they can do as well, which is great. So in a bit of off time in that dead period, you might go get some lunch or have a nap or play some PlayStation, whatever it might be. And then we used to start really getting prepared for training at about 3 o'clock. Now, we trained at 5, but at 3 o'clock, we used to get access to go see our athletic trainer. An athletic trainer is someone who literally takes care of you in terms of injuries. If you've got any knocks or niggles, or you need to get massages or heat and stem, whatever it might be, they are your key to staying fit. And every team will have their own athletic trainer. And he's pretty much there 24/7 when they shouldn't be, but they are. So we used to have a good bit of access to go and see them. And then at 5 o'clock, we used to train again on our own facility. We used to be on there for about an hour to 2 hours, depending on the schedule. Could stay out there longer if we liked, but that was typically what we'd be out there for. And then you head down to dinner again after showering up. And then something to expect as a first year is something called study hall. Now, because the coach is putting his money into you, not just going there for the football, but also to get a university degree, he needs to make sure that you're going to pass your classes. Otherwise, if you don't and you start failing classes, you won't be eligible to actually play. And that's not down to the coach or the university, it's down to the university board itself. So he has to make sure you're going to pass as a first year, which means going in as your first semester, he's going to expect you to at least do 6 hours a week of study hall. And once you've done a first semester and you've passed your classes, that will get taken away, and then you can manage your own time and sort of do it how you like. But you're typically going to be in the library it's 3-4 evenings a week anyway, just catching up with work because you've got so much else going on. It's something that, like I said, it's full on day. Most people love it. There's probably the minority that don't, but it's just one of those things you've got to expect going into it. So lastly then, just sort of how we make it happen. Obviously, I know we've sort of got 3 minutes left on the clock, so I'll try and run through it. But sort of from here, usually we do assessment days where we see you play, and then we also try and get in touch with your coaches, find out a bit more about you as players and as people as well. We've got to make sure we're bringing on the right characters. But because we can't do that at the moment, we are doing sort of remote presentations, a bit like this, but a lot more in depth, and it's for players and parents. So if you are interested, I'm pretty sure Daffy's getting all the names off from you after this. Is that right? So yeah, if you're interested, obviously just send your details across. We'll get in touch, just sort of drop you a text and try and set up a call and have more of a chat on a personal note. And then we'll get you onto one of those sort of Zoom days with your parents as well. And then we'll get in touch with your coaches, find out more about you as players. If you've got game footage, obviously you can send that in, and we can have a look at you from there as well. But then we just sort of discuss again a more personal Zoom call with me or another colleague of mine, yourselves and your parents. Will discuss your priorities on Zoom on a more personal sort of call. And we'll sort of just go through what you're looking to get out of it, where you're looking to sort of go, what your aspirations would be, that sort of thing. And if we're happy to sort of move forward with it, then we would. And that's where it is a case of sort of getting you on video days, getting you prepped for SAT revision days and your exam. We've got a showcase event every December where US coaches come over and watch our guys play every year. Last year we had like 56 different universities over. This year we've got a live stream going on as well, so there'll be even more. You'll be speaking to coaches between sort of December and the April of the year you're going out, and then you should be committed to a university no later than April, with the idea that then gives us a good few months to get all the eligibility done to prove you can play over there, the visa, the paperwork, everything that needs to be done for you to fly over sort of late July, early August for pre-season. Now, obviously, if you're a year 13, I'm not sure what year groups you've got in here, then it's a case of trying to get you on board as soon as possible because you'll be looking to go out next year. If you're a year 12, you've got a little bit more time, but we do say it takes a good sort of 12 to 18 months to get a solid profile built and that sort of thing as well. There's a lot of video footage that needs to be done, a lot of SAT preparation, that sort of thing. So we would be looking at trying to get you on board as soon as possible if this is something you did want to do. So, like I said, I know we're very short for time at the moment, but we'll hopefully get your details anyway. And obviously I can have a chat with the ones that are interested. But yeah, I appreciate your time tonight, guys, anyway. And hopefully if you are interested, we'll catch up sort of next week and we can get you on one of our sort of player and parent online events.
Chris, that's been fantastic, mate. Yeah, the reason we were short on time is Daffyd said, it's only about a 20-minute presentation. We'll be fine.
His ones might be, but yeah, I'll try and get as much on as possible.
Seriously, we looked at this last year when we were going to go to a college program at our old academy. And so I want to give these boys, most of the boys in our setup realistically are aiming semi-pros. Some want to get into it late, might get into it as a pro, but certainly looking at the semi-pro level. So they're very realistic about where they want to be. But also I want to give them this option because I feel